All right, I'm here today with artist Anne-Marie McTaggart, and we're sitting in the East Gallery here at the Blanden Art Museum, surrounded by her beautiful paintings as part of an exhibit entitled Icons of Our Spirit. And so basically this is going to be an interview series that we're going to do with each artist that we have here at the Blanden, and basically be a series of questions that we have all written up here, and basically try to have a conversation with the artist about who they are and about their work and inspirations and kind of everything in between. So with that, we'll start the conversation here. And so, Anne, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me here and allowing this show. I'm thrilled. Yeah, I really am happy.
Well, I'm always excited to have visiting artists come, share their work with the community, and the Blanden is always about inspiring others. Yes. And so I think bringing in artists is a good way to do that.
For sure.
Getting a good variety of different works in terms of media choices, subject matter, different approaches and things of that nature is always great to have. So
that's right.
And that's what, for me, growing up and being a young artist, that's kind of what inspired me to get involved in the arts and stuff like that. So so yeah, it's our pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And so let's see. So what is your background in terms of where you grew up at, where you currently are, some other career choices that you have made, and what led you to be an artist?
Yes. Well, I'm from here in Fort Dodge. I went to school in Fort Dodge. My father was killed in World War II. So my mom and I had an apartment downtown across from the square. And I grew up coming up here to the Blanden on my own. I was just thrilled with it. Well, after I finished school, and I did want to go into art in high school, and I did take a few classes, but not a lot were offered then. I wanted to make a career of art, but that wasn't the practical thing to do. So I had other choices. Nursing was a choice I took because I really liked science a lot. So I went to Omaha Creighton and got the BSN, and then after that I worked as an RN in Sioux City, and I worked on oncology almost all the time with the cancer patients. And but during that time, Mike and I had with 3 kids, and he taught school there and so on. And but during that time, I was taking art classes on and off at the local art, the museum and center. And they weren't the college classes at that time. Then as time grew on, I decided, I think I'm going to go back to school to learn more about art. There were the questions there. I didn't understand. And it was such a great experience with art. History was wonderful. I would recommend that for anybody to take quite a few classes of art history. It's just, it was so great. It grounded me. And so then after after I got my academic degrees as a BSN in painting, Masters of Fine Arts, then I quit in '05. I had a small stroke, and I quit, but everything came back at that time. And my husband encouraged me to leave the hospital. I was very part-time then anyway, and to just pursue my art. So I would set up a studio at home, and since that time I would set up some studios with downtown in Sioux City. And now the buildings I was at closed, and so now I'm painting at home again. But I'm involved in 2 galleries with downtown with artists. And
Okay.
so it really helps. So that is what I'm doing now besides showing
Oh, good.
and everything.
So what school did you go to then for your
USD.
USD? Okay.
University of South Dakota.
Okay, and that's in Vermillion?
Yes.
Yeah, good
yes,
school.
Yes. It
Wonderful
is a
school.
good school.
Good art program too. I
Yes,
kind of
it was
perused through
excellent.
their
It was
art
excellent.
department a couple different times. We were
Oh,
on
it's
our
excellent,
way.
because they have everything, they have all the arts in the building.
Yep.
The theater and the orchestra, and so you can be painting in your little cell, and you can hear all that in the background. It's so inspiring.
Well, it's always funny too how those type of things find their way into the work as you're
It does.
experiencing them.
It
You know,
does,
like
yes.
I think a lot of people don't understand that art making is a very experiential
It
kind of
is.
activity. You
Yes,
know, and it
yes.
changes. I mean, you probably have seen it. You've talked about having a studio in your home and then moving to a studio
building.
downtown, which was larger, I'm going to guess.
You saw that.
Yeah, and then you're back home.
Yeah.
And so, you know, kind of a question to go on that is like, how has that experience changed your artwork going from?
I don't have the perspective. The studio at the Benson you saw was as huge as this.
Yeah.
So I could stand back, and that's what I really like with large paintings, is the fact you can stand back and decide the balance of your piece and so on. I don't have that, but I'm
Yeah.
still all right. And my husband is very happy I'm at home.
Well, that I bet so.
He really is. He really is. He's just so happy. He says, I'll be really quiet.
So has the work gotten smaller then?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The work is still about the 4 feet tall. It's probably not as big as the 5 feet.
Yeah.
But 4 feet tall at least. And some of them are the triptychs.
Okay.
And stuff. And so, yeah, it's still big. It's not quite like the one here.
Mm-hmm.
I did at home.
Okay.
Did that at home. So I have a room there. It's fairly big, so I can do the 3 walls with paintings on it and
Yeah.
paint from painting to painting, or let one dry. Especially with oil, you have to let it dry for a period of time.
Yeah.
So.
Has your subject matter changed? I mean, are you still focusing on the same type of subject matter, or has that changed since you have gone home?
Since I've gone home, it's mostly been the bird images
Okay.
again. I'm not doing the Parat clown as much, and I'm not doing the collage, which I was doing at that time. But I'm building up paint, and I'm doing the singular images on canvas.
Okay.
With less of a background. The background is very benign, and it's mostly just the power of the image.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Another thing that I recall reading in your artist statement, you talked about how your nursing kind
Yes.
of influenced or had some influence on your work in terms of content and stuff. Do you want to
It
kind of
did.
expand on that a
It
little bit
did.
more?
I was focusing when I first got out of school at South Dakota. I was just starting to paint, and you're kind of like, so what do I paint? And I always liked animals. I always liked animals, and one animal that appealed to me were cows.
Okay.
I think that cows are just so spiritual. They're huge. They're quiet. They're just a gentle soul.
Yeah.
And so I was painting cows, but then I thought, after a while, I was thinking, I want something, and then I started looking at birds. And I thought, the birds are buoyant and spiritual. They've been an icon in art history for a long time.
Yeah.
And they fly, and they have signature. And I just thought, I think I'll do the bird imagery, but it was more a generic. It wasn't like a specific bird at that time.
Yeah.
So then after I started to really incorporate the birds and do it and study them more, I got interested in the birds, and now I am a birder.
Okay.
Well, kinda.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to get into falcons, the puffins,
Yeah.
boobies,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And I just think with these animals are intriguing. They need to be helped, and they need to be saved and protected.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think they had a royalty with them, and I wanted them to be powerful and as much as I could show them their integrity and their spirit. I just
Okay.
thought they were so spiritual.
Yeah. Well, that brings up another topic. I mean, even within your statement, you reference spirituality, religion, and have those kind of connections too. And so can you talk about how that kind of is in the work, or your
Right.
connection to spirituality and religion in general, and how that influences how you work and create
Oh, it
artwork?
certainly does. I was not aware of that when I started to paint, and somebody had, quite a few of my friends in art said, Anne, I think your oncology is affecting your art. And it is. I am just, after I quit oncology and went into art full time, I missed my patients, but I received so much information from them. The information of the survival of the will and their spirituality, their courage, and to go above go above the trivia, and to find out what's important in life. And so I wanted my images to show the courage and the spirit that we all have. We all have the joys and anxieties, sorrows, but I wanted it to be was shown as, well, this is us or you, and that really affected me in my art. My oncology affected me a lot.
Yeah, because throughout, I mean, even, you know, thinking about like white birds, you know, in art history, you know, white birds have always been depicted as a kind of a connection to the spirit. You know, Holy Spirit has been depicted as a white bird, and all that. So there's some really strong connection. So you, in a way, you're the characters that you paint, be it a bird or a clown or a puffin or whatever, you know, they're kind of stand-ins for ourselves and
others.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that makes sense.
Yeah, they are. And the clowns intrigued me. I was doing, again, research, and I studied the Perrot clown. Well, not the ordinary clown, but the Perrot clown. And they were mimes, a lot of them, but the things they showed wasn't slapstick. It was the daily activities that we have, and there were sorrows and happiness, and I just thought, wow, they're saying it all.
Yeah.
So I decided to use them as an icon, and then kind of incorporate them with the bird forms as well, to see what would happen. At the same time, I was trying to use a bit of collage with paper, so I could get a texture. I was challenging myself with that and so on, to get different forms on my canvas, different pieces of paint on my canvas with paper. So it was just kind of a challenge, but I thought their faces were the things that I found most important that I wanted to show.
Well, within minds too, they're not using words.
Right.
So they're using actions, they're using their face quite a bit to express emotions and feelings and everything. And so I think that's a very kind of powerful connection to those images. They're silent, but they're communicating so
and they seem to understand.
Expansively.
Right.
Yeah. So and then, you know, even with some of the paintings here about the mimes, you know, they do have this kind of feathery look to them, as, you know, as you've kind of constructed them down. You know, almost in some ways too, they have this kind of flowering effect too. They seem like a flower with the head being the center of the flower and the petals surrounding that too. So, you know, I quite enjoy the larger scale paintings of the
enjoyed it too.
Mine. So, no, I think they're fantastic. Let's see. I guess, do you think, especially thinking about what's happening now in the world, does your work make any type of commentary on social or cultural aspects of life, political issues, anything like that, or is that even in your millhouse?
The political, I don't know about that, but it's geared to our humanness, who we are. We are all the same as far as our feelings, perhaps our experiences aren't all the same.
Yeah.
But we all have had trauma and joy and happiness and sorrow. And I think that, so we are all the one. We're not like a white man here or a black man here or the black bird there or the white bird there.
Yeah.
It's just all of us.
Yeah.
We're all the same. It's just that our experiences are not all the same, but we are one. And I think we all have a spirit of survival and trying to get by.
Yeah.
And I hope that some of my paintings I did at one time in Ascension with series that showed the birds were going up. And it was about to rise to a higher a consciousness.
Okay.
And that's what I saw in the patients at the hospital.
Okay.
In oncology.
Yeah.
That they were able to get rid of all the trivia and everything else and just be them with their families. And that's what was so important.
Yeah.
The rawness of it, who you are. Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, and I think this is a good way too to kind of go into some of your the process that you take to create your work, because it's not merely just painting on canvas. You're doing a lot more with the canvas. So can you talk about that? Talk about your process in terms of how you get an image.
Sure.
Then what's the next step, and try to walk us through how you personally develop a painting.
What I do almost all the time is I take art, the books at home and magazines and stuff. But I also in the past have gone to museums at the colleges, have great exhibitions of booklets and stuff. But anyway, right now with my focus being the birds, not right now, but over a period of time, usually I have a lot of the bird books at home, or I see them, I have the magazines with the National Geographic and so on. And I look at a bird form that I find fascinating and that really speaks an emotion to me, and I'll probably would copy that and get a small a copy of it and go ahead to put it on the wall in my studio. But then I have to decide what kind of a canvas I'm going to get. Is it a long, almost all my stuff except for that one, is vertical.
Okay.
And I just am drawn with to that. I don't know what happened here, but that's what it is. It can go the other way too. But anyway, after I get that, my canvas is just the white. I usually paint a bright acrylic on there, like a red, orange, something really bright.
Okay.
Then after that dries, I take charcoal and make the image and see if I can get a form to flow a certain way of what I'm trying to do. And then after that, I'll paint it again with acrylic to get a little bit of with depth and the volume of the image and the piece. Then after that dries, I get all my my paint out, my oil paint. It's oil paint and oil sticks. And then I go over it with oil. And then I allow it to dry, which takes forever. And then I go over it again with a glaze, and the glaze allows the atmosphere, as you know. And then I will emphasize more and decrease more. And then I'll take oil sticks, and I work it and work it and work it and work it and work it with oil, and because it takes so long to dry those. Although I do use a Japanese dryer in my work, and it will dry it the following day. It smells awful.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then after that, I leave it alone for a while and start with something else, and then leave that alone to start something, and then probably go back and find out what was wrong with that, or what I don't like, or take it even outside to look far away at it, because if I get the perspective of a distance, I can really see the off balance or what I'm trying to do. Right now, I am just trying to get the form and the power of the form, and not the background, and not the color at all. So actually, so that's what I'm doing now. I've even used ink on there too. But right now, I also use the paper on some of mine, but right now I'm just using acrylic and then oil and the underpaintings you can see, and I allow that underpainting to show so you can, well, it helps the warmth of the canvas, but also it shows the history. And after all, it's a painting. So that's what I'm doing there.
And then with some,
and then I work with my hands on it. I put my gloves on and just take paint and work it with my hands.
So for you, it's very much a tactile experience.
It's a very process.
It's not strictly hand with a brush. You're in there. You're almost like, I want to say finger painting, but you're not. You're actually trying to
I just put
physically
that
touch
there, and I stand up and I just start with doing it and do it. You can just see the flow I did there, and it feels so great to do that, because I know I'm making that action. And I want the action to show.
And then some of the work you use, like mixed media. It seems like you paste something down and then you use that. Can you explain, how you go about, why you choose to use it in some instances and not other instances?
Right now, I'm not doing the mixed media, but over here, I mean, with my clowns, I decided to do that for especially this one over here with, I have the two guys there, and I have the paint. What I did is I just took the poster paint, just cheap, the poster paint I got at the store, the big things of it, and just made strips of it and just tacked it up on the wall and painted it. I just painted it in oil and acrylic and oil. And then I would make my image, and then to glue with gel, media gel, and on it, and allow it to dry, then repaint it again. But I wanted it to have a texture. I guess I was challenging myself from making an artificial thing that still has emotion and power. Is what I was doing. I was saying, to me, I was saying, can I still maintain a composition, which is what I want to say, with the paper and the build-up, or will it be with distractive? And I don't think it was. I think that the faces will pull that through on those.
I like the balance between the painted, strictly paint work, kind of, juxtaposed against some of the work that has some of those mixed media elements in there. Because it almost, in a way, it's like, it kind of challenges the viewers to figure out where that material is at, and is this just strictly paint, or is this where she's manipulated the canvas by adding pieces to it? And in a way, if you think about, the pieces where you have added material to, it kind of is reflective of people's lives too. We're constantly adding materials to our lives, be it, exterior materials, or even, like being strictly oil paint, you're still dealing with those layers of different painting approaches. Where, as people, sometimes we internalize, everything. And so it's human life is a mixture of that. Internal contemplation versus receiving information from the outside, and how we mash those all together.
So the wrinkles in the painting is us. I mean, we aren't smooth.
We're not perfect. Exactly.
The wrinkles are there. But still they're part of us.
Good. I guess, you know, looking at this series of work, is this work different than, let's say, work you were producing 5-10 years ago?
I think so. I think so. It's not, it was still large, and it was still, it was, the work I did when I first got out of school was more the background, more abstract. I was using at that time I was using some of the bird forms, but also some of the cow forms.
Okay.
But the background was important too,
Yeah.
and so on and so on. And then I did a lot of the canvas ones, the large canvas ones, 10 to 12 feet across and 12 feet tall, and I would do that. And oh boy, that was fun. But where do you put it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Where do you put it? Well, there was a place
storage
downtown.
always becomes an issue. You know?
Yes, the storage. Yeah, but that was on a loose with canvas,
Okay.
with grommets.
Okay.
So I wrote them up. So I got all these rows downtown in my studio.
Yeah.
The rows and rows of these big old canvases. So I kind of went away from that and got more solid, stretched canvas
Okay.
on board. And then I decided, but I couldn't do the small work. I'm too into process and a hands-on.
Yeah.
And I don't like the real small,
Yeah.
the detailed. It drives me kind of crazy.
Yep.
Knitting or anything, I can't do that. I got to do big stuff and make bold images. I mean, bold lines.
Yep.
And so on. So I think, I've gotten away from backgrounds here to more a benign, ambiguous kind of
ambiguous
background.
kind of just color field.
Yeah, so I think
kind
it's
of,
changed. I've gotten a little more abstract,
Okay.
more concentrated on one image.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
one image.
Oh.
So,
Good.
I have changed some.
Well, as you
Which is
should,
good.
like as we
You
all
should,
do. I mean,
yeah.
that's part
We
of
challenge ourselves.
of growing and developing our own understanding of the world
Right.
and just intellectual thinking in general. We're always constantly growing. We're always bringing in new information that physically and
It
mentally
changes
changes
us.
us.
We change all the time.
And
Yeah.
as artists, we're communicators, and
Right.
so that
Yes.
communications gets filtered through, and then it
Yes.
gets put out in the world however we make our things, either sculpture, painting, prints, or whatever. So it's a natural process.
It is. It is. It's just part of growing.
Yeah.
It's part of just exploring and growing as a person.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's good. Well, and then, as you kind of look back, and let's maybe focus on a couple of your kind of all-time artistic influences, influences in general. They don't necessarily have to be artistic. But then also maybe focusing on a couple artists that you're kind of looking at
Sure.
right now, and talk about that a little bit.
Sure. I think the biggest influence I had was the Blanden. Because I would come up here as a child on my bike, all by myself,
Yeah.
and go through this place. I was that big. And the paintings were huge.
Yeah.
Neoclassical, you probably still have them here. I was amazed, because that's my first experience with public art.
Okay.
I'd never seen the public art before, so that was a big experience. And then I used to just, the experience of school and so on, and the experience of eventually taking art with theory, and finding with different eras of art that I really, they intrigued me, like expressionism, the German expressionism,
Okay.
and Gothic art, but their icons and ornateness. And I just was intrigued with that. It was an eye opener. As far as the artists, at that time when I was involved in that was Max Beckmann.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
George Beischlitz too is one of my favorite. Susan Rothenberg.
Okay.
Francisco Clemente.
Yep.
I don't know if you know Morris Graves. Morris Graves, he's kind of one I found off the wall.
Okay.
He was a spiritualist.
Okay.
And he just did very spiritual, small things. But I think they've all affected my art because as far as the German expressionism, that was with my first art. When I first started doing art, I did really more of the vibrant colors and stuff. So I kind of went from with that to tone down more. But I still enjoy it, and I still enjoy the Gothic art with the icons. But then with Susan Rothenberg, her horses, her imagery of abstraction, but she still has an animal there of some kind. And it just is so strong, powerful. It really influenced me a lot.
Well, even looking at some of the images here, you can start to see those kind of blending of the German expressionistic in terms of like the colors, but and then some of that work from the work from I see, especially within these three images over here with the clowns. There's like some of it like an El Greco kind of experience that I get when viewing those, just in terms of how the figures are painted, this kind of rough way that the figure is made up, because he was, at the time he was using powerful colors, bright blues and pinks and all that, and then his paint application was very kind of rough and ragged, and that's, in those I kind of see that, and you can kind of see some of the highlights within with some of the other work too, and I think you get a little bit of that neo-Gothic kind of influence within the figures as well.
Folk art, I think, is great art. It's so Grandma Moses, I just loved her work. And I just thought, it's so sincere and colorful, and it says the things that she was doing. Yeah.
Well, it's honest and straightforward.
Yes.
Without the clunkiness that you get sometimes with academic, art.
Right.
And that, and there's been several artists that have struggled with that throughout their artistic careers.
Sure.
Picasso struggled with this, like trying to unlearn everything that he learned to get to a kind of an authentic, naive approach to seeing, seeing the world. Even talking about spirituality. We're oftentimes, where they say, talk about how innocence of a child is glory of God and all that, kind of references too. And so it's about getting back to that sense of innocence, so you can see the world as it is.
That's right.
How do you do that? Especially when you have a brain full of
information and problems and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So that's always kind of a struggle for a lot of different artists.
That's true.
How do you get to that pure essence, that kind of innocence, that kind of straightforward communication?
And that's why it appeals to me too.
Yeah, and I think that's why it appeals to a lot of artists. That kind of approach to seeing the clunkiness of the hand.
Yes.
The application of the material.
It's so human. It's them. Yeah. It's them. It's not a photograph. Yeah. It's them.
Well, especially now when we live within a digital age, where everything's so crisp and clean and hyper real and high definition and this and that. Actually seeing the handwork, I think it's a gorgeous thing. It's like it reminds us that we're human.
I do too. I love it. Love it. Love to see them with their action, with scribbling, with it's so good. It's so good.
Well, it has that sense of warmth to it.
Yes, and sincerity.
Yeah.
And this is me.
Yeah.
This is me. Yeah.
Well, good. Let's see. I guess. Talking about your work, and you've exhibited your work a couple of different times. I'm gonna.
Not here, but yeah. Oh, I have been in shows here.
Okay.
Jury shows.
Okay.
Twice, I think.
Very nice. And so thinking back, in terms of all those times that you have exhibited your work and have experienced that, is there anything that you can remember, someone's commented about the work, some advice you might have gotten from a colleague or a professor or something that kind of sticks with you, that kind of you always kind of go back to and remember. And maybe also too thinking about some advice that you can give to future artists as well, to kind of give them that spark of inspiration.
Okay. Well, when I have a show or exhibition or open house or something, and somebody comes in and they ask about my art and they want me to talk about it, and they stare at it and they can speak to it, I just feel wonderful that they're able to relate to it. I think that is very, very good. And occasionally I had, this only happened once, so that a guy, a fellow that had bought some of my paintings in the past, I went in a new way, it was real abstract. He came in and he said, "I hate it. I just hate it." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. I'm sorry you hate it." He goes, "This is a mess. This is a mess. Don't ever show this again." So occasionally you hear that too, but not too often.
Yeah.
But okay, it's people. They have opinions.
Yeah.
And there may be some that just hate the birds and hate the clowns and hate this and hate that, and just like a landscape. Why don't you do a landscape? Well, fine. There's lots of people that do landscapes, and that's wonderful. But I don't want to do that. My time here on Earth is short, and I want to do what I really feel I have to do.
Yeah.
And what I have to do is my expression of myself and others. I just have to do that. As far as advice to anybody else, hi, Mike. I would say continue with seeking information on art. Even if you don't go on to school, read about it.
Yep.
Read about it. Read exhibitions. Read essays. We'll go to different the museums and so on and see art. Then challenge yourself. And as you go along and as you read, write ideas down in journals. I've got stacks of them with ideas. I'm sure that you do too.
Yeah.
That you and when it comes to when you do have that show or stuff, you have your artist statement in there someplace.
Yeah.
And you can go and reflect back of why you were doing that at that time, or who influenced you at that time. So I say just be sincere and consistent about art. Not that you have to do art every day, but think about it and expose yourself and read about it and talk about it. I would say that to anybody who...
Well, I remember when I used to teach, and I had taught painting and drawing, and I always told the students, it's important to build what I called their visual vocabulary. It's like you need to develop your dictionary in terms of how you see the world and how you organize your dots and how you create to project. And so I always told them, it's like, just get a 3-ring binder.
Sure.
Anytime you see like an image or an artwork that you're interested in, hear a poem or a song, slap it in there. That becomes part of you, and that becomes a reference that you can go back to and pull from. And so I think it's very important.
Oh, I do.
So that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, a philosopher, a sentence that you could sometimes use, like, well, a Kath, I was reading one of her book, My Aunt Antonio, and at the end she said, "What is art but a mound to display your soul?" And so on. And so you just don't read art books. Read other books too. Other books will also
expand.
You. Yes.
Expand and contract.
Books. I'm into science books.
For me, it's science, it's history, it's current events. And also a lot of artwork, but family too. It's like what's going on in the family. And you dump all that together, and then when you get the chance to make artwork, it sometimes comes through. And everything.
It does.
So,
it does.
I guess we'll end with and I guess let's see. So ending with the sirens blaring behind us.
That's right.
What does it mean to you to be able to have a solo exhibit here at the Blanden?
I am thrilled. I am thrilled. This is the place I started with when I was 8 and 9. I'm just thrilled to be here. I never ever thought I would show here, but after it was so long, and after the years, I got older, and my art got more the purposeful, and I got more of a focus of what I was doing and stuff. I decided to apply, but then when you asked me, I was just thrilled. I am so honored to be here, Eric. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no,
it is such a thrill to be here.
Well, good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the best. I'm at the epitome
good.
of my goals. This is it.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad that the Blanden and myself and the staff could be a part of that.
Now I can just go downhill.
Well, let's hope it's uphill. Let's hope this is the next level for you.
I'm here, and I'm very, very happy.
Well, good. And like I said before, it's a pleasure to having your artwork up on the walls, and I'm glad that we are now open again to the public, and so
yeah, that's great.
And so people can start coming in and enjoying the work again, and having that face-to-face connection with the work.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it's open. It's just going to take a while by extending it a bit.
Yeah.
I think that'll help.
Well, like I said, so currently the exhibit's up in the Blanden Art Museum in the East Gallery. It's up until September 26th, 2020. And so if you have some time, come down to the museum and check it out. Our hours are open to the public. We're open to the public Wednesday through Saturday, 1 to 4, temporarily. Until we still are trying to figure this whole new norm out. But we want to open up the doors and allow people to come in and see the artwork, and and that's what we're here for. We're here to connect to the community and connect to the people that are interested and have a passion for the arts, and that's kind of what the Blanden has always been. And so with that, thank you again for coming in today and doing this.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you. Eric.
Yeah. And so, again, thank you for watching the video today. And if you want more information about the Blanden Art Museum, you can visit our website, blanden.org. And then also, too, follow us and like us on Facebook, and you will keep up to date with everything that we're kind of doing here. You'll see other digital opportunities to engage, different art projects, and different activities to help us as a staff make sure that we're giving you, the community, everything that you are hoping for. And so with that, thank you, and we'll see you at the Blanden.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, no, thank you.